So, I finally watched Bridgerton. I did not really want to watch it at first, but then I watched episode 1 of season 2 with a friend of mine, and I was like, I actually don't mind this. Maybe I should watch it. It's kind of entertaining and lighthearted. It's not gonna pull on my heartstrings too much and upset me in any kind of way. So maybe I should watch it, you know? So I watched both seasons in the past few days, marathoning the second season in one day because my mom got so into the story that she forced me to stay up late and finish the show in one day. Force is a bit of a strong word. I was really into second season too, so it wasn't entirely her fault, okay? If you are a really big fan of Bridgerton, especially season 1, maybe don't watch this because I've got a lot to say. I don't know if you're going to like what I've got to say. In any case, I dislike Daphne so much. She's probably my least favorite character, or at least one of the characters that I dislike in this show. There's so many things that I dislike about her, honestly, and I think that at first I was okay with her. I did not think anything bad. Yeah, she was a little bit marriage babies kind of person that I don't relate to. I was okay with it. I thought that she's still a kind person, a nice person, so I was like, okay, good enough for a main character. But then, the further into the show we got, the more I was feeling uncomfortable by the choices that she's made, and just I've been really, I don't know, I think that this show treats her as like a very nice and kind person, and as someone who deserves all of the opulence and all of the good things that happen to her because she's a good person, and I just don't think so. First thing that we get to see that really made me uncomfortable was the fact that she kind of forced Simon to marry her. I understand that it was a complicated situation, and I also understand that Simon was at fault here too. I just didn't like the way that they approached it. The two of them having that conversation of him being like I can't give you children, and her saying, okay, fine, we're still gonna get married and stuff like that. And then immediately after like 3 weeks of being married, she's already shown in the series as this person who walks around staring at children sadly and being like all, I guess, upset about not having children or about the possibility of having children. It's really weird because I hate people like that. I hate people who equate children to happiness and then act this way around people. I guess her language, the way that she talks about it is really uncomfortable. And then after all that time of her just like watching Simon be cute with kids and her watching that child in the village and then her being upset about the nursery and being like, oh my god, can't use it and whatever, it's all very stupid. And especially because she never asks him why he can't give her children. There is literally no way a young man who hasn't been married would know that he is barren. There's just no way. So okay, let's assume that she couldn't figure that out because she knows nothing. She basically had no sex education, point blank period, which is terrible. It's not great for her, obviously. However, everything around that situation is extremely fucked up and also extremely selfish of her. The way that, for example, she talks to her mother, and her mother is definitely a very romantic person who she's never been emphasizing sexual relationships. When she was talking about her love with her late husband, she's really a romantic, so she keeps talking about him as, her greatest love and whatever, and she just didn't think to let her daughter know about all of the sexual things. I guess that's not great, but at the same time, when they have this conversation in the garden and Daphne literally tells her that she didn't teach her anything about the important things, about things that actually count or matter or whatever. I'm gonna probably insert a clip here because I thought it was so disrespectful and so stupid.
If you had informed me about the things that were truly important, if I'd have known the truth, then perhaps
can you imagine insulting your mother this much over something that she already learned about? She just didn't know one detail. I think it's not good that she didn't know anything, but it's just her treating it as like the most important important thing. She's such an empty person. She's just like such a shell of a person. There is literally nothing in her that she could give to another human being. I don't know why she's so obsessed with having children if she hasn't even figured out herself as a human being and she has nothing to offer to the other generation. Her obsession with it is just so unlikable. The way that she approaches it is unlikable. The fact that she didn't talk to Simon and figure this thing out is unlikable. All of this is obviously, it wouldn't be as off-putting and as terrible if she wouldn't sexually assault her husband, okay? Let's be real here. That was straight up sexual assault. I believe so, at least. I think that was very messed up. The thing that she did was genuinely crazy. And instead of asking him what his reason is for not wanting or not having children, she didn't care at all about his reasons. That's how little she gives a fuck about him, really. That she cares more about his than she does about him as a person. Didn't care to ask, didn't care to know what the issue is, why he feels that way. Obviously his reason is silly because his dad is dead already. He's not gonna know that you had children. It doesn't matter. He heard you on his deathbed. That should be enough because he's not gonna know anymore. That's for sure. So you can do whatever you want now. It doesn't really matter. But what Daphne did is despicable. It's so gross. It genuinely changed my mind about everything about her, so much so that I can't sympathize with her desire for children anymore. I cannot sympathize with her feeling sad about not being able to get what she wants the way that she imagined or whatever. I just can't sympathize with her anymore at all. It's disgusting. Disgusting, definitely. And also the worst part about it is that she never apologizes for it. She's never shown to be truly remorseful about what she's done. She's just shown to pity herself again that her husband didn't want a child instead of understanding that she violated his bodily autonomy. Like, it's really fucking weird, honestly. I hate it so much, so much. It genuinely made me feel sick. And after that, it was so hard to watch this show and to sympathize with the characters because these two characters are the main characters, right? So Simon is kind of like this really wooden person. I don't know if it's the performance of the actor or if the character is supposed to be like that. I know that he's supposed to be very stoic and stuff. There were a lot of moments in the show where he was shown to be looking at Daphne and it was supposed to look like he was in awe, for example, of her or of her looks or whatever. Or for example, he was supposed to be jealous or something.
Dear God, where did you go?
And the performance is just not giving it. It just doesn't. I don't know if it was the actor's inability to do it or if it was his choice to approach it this way because the character is supposed to be like that. I don't know what it is. But there wasn't any feeling there. It really felt flat. Basically, I did not believe them. The entire time I was like, I don't believe you. Whatever is happening, I don't believe that you give a shit. After that, another scene that really pissed me off with Daphne that made me really dislike her was the scene at the theater where she got her period, which she was dreading to get because she wanted to be with child after being her husband. And then she goes into the other room, like the room that is attached to their balcony or whatever at the theater, and she starts wailing, like crying like crazy that she isn't pregnant, that she got her period. And it's like, first of all, if she would have regretted assaulting her husband or saw that she did anything wrong, she wouldn't be that extremely upset about not being pregnant. She would be like, okay, good thing that our child is not gonna be made out of deceit or out of assault, right? But no, she's actually distraught that she didn't get what she wanted against his will, against his wishes, against his bodily autonomy. It is disgusting. I don't know. I hate her so much. Everything about her just revolting to me. I'm sorry, you guys. If you love her, like, good for you, but come on now. Second of all, they have no chemistry. Daphne and Simon, they had so many explicit sex scenes. It was close to being porn. when I went into Bridgerton, I was expecting a lot of slow burn and a lot of yearning and a lot of those kinds of things that you get when you watch period dramas or period movies or whatever. And I got none of that in this series. They had nothing. They did not have any chemistry. The actors just don't vibe at all. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I don't care. I think they are both quite empty as characters. Simon at least he had some kind of backstory that was quite tragic in many ways. Like, he was growing up alone, his dad is a dickhead, like all of that makes sense. But because Daphne is so empty, because she has nothing to offer, it just doesn't do anything. Their words are just words. It's the things that they've said to each other. That whole scene with "I burn for you," it doesn't do anything. Like, it just doesn't have any spark. It doesn't have any charisma. Every scene where they were making out and whatever, there's a lot of what I call fish face. It's very common in a lot of romantic scenes, a lot of sexual scenes, where actors don't actually have that charisma to deliver, or if they don't have this chemistry between each other to deliver a scene, they start doing a lot of fish facing, which is like opening your mouth and just breathing through your mouth loudly and relying on heavy breathing to portray passion. Don't like them. Just don't like them. He could have still had emotions, a lot more subtle, like maybe you would have to zoom in really close to see that there's muscle moving a little bit in his face, or that there's a change in his eyes or something like that. And I wasn't getting any of that. And why I'm saying all of this right now and why I'm sure that this is supposed to be there is because season 2 delivers on all of those things that season 1 did not deliver on. If I were to start watching Bridgerton from season 1, I probably wouldn't watch season 2. For sure. Because season 1 was trash. Straight up. I did not like most of the characters that got a lot of shine in that season. I was so happy I did not have to look at Daphne and Simon in second season. I liked Eloise. The Bridgertons, they all seem to be wearing blue color, like really light blue. The dresses are way too similar to each other. I saw this featurette about the wardrobe department of the show, and they said that there was about, I believe, 100 dress changes for the main character, Daphne. I'm gonna tell you right away, I did not notice it because the dresses are way too similar. The colors, the designs, they're all the same. And they always have this thing where they say, you should put this special dress on so you can make an impression at the ball. And then her ball dress just looks exactly the same as any other dress that she wore before. I'm just not grasping how they're different. When I think about this show, for example, this dress was supposed to be very special, and I just don't get it. It looks like any other dress that they wore, that she wore, really. Maybe not even the best out of the bunch. This dress at least has something new to it, right? But still, like, it's just not different enough. It's not that adventurous. And considering that this show is not historically accurate at all, and I don't care about historical accuracy at all. I don't give a shit. As long as costuming is interesting, it felt like they were wearing the same thing all the time. This dress that she wore, right? And then her wedding dress, this, and now this. It's basically the same thing. The Featheringtons, you get really over-the-top costuming. They have this color palette that's really, really bright. I like bright things, don't get me wrong. I guess that the patterns are what makes it. It's a little bit over-the-top, let's say that way. And it's also colors that don't really suit the girls in terms of their skin tones. But I really like Empire Waist. Obviously, I still like these dresses to some degree. However, with Penelope, I like Penelope a lot. It really bothered me that she was the only one who consistently had the dress, the waistline, like at the wrong place. It was always either right in the middle of her breasts or a bit lower than that, but still not under them. It was always like squishing, like kind of, it was just not on the right spot. And it bothered me so much because Empire Waists, they can really make you look funky, frumpy, if the waistline is not in the correct spot. It usually looks like you put on a dress that is not the correct size for you, you know? I don't understand why they would do such a thing to her, and so consistently too. I caught that in many dresses in this show. It happened even to Daphne, where it was a bit too high. And yet, Penelope is the only one who consistently got this thing done to her. Close they're supposed to fit, especially when they're made specifically for the person. I don't understand what the point is of doing such a thing. Just she still looks cute even with the waistline being fucked up. That's how cute she is, and she shouldn't be messed with, you know? Like, you should actually do it properly. I don't understand why they did it like that. I do like what they've done in terms of mixing the new influences with old influences. I like that it is not historically accurate, but it's also not an eyesore in terms of going too far. I think that with Featheringtons, they're supposed to look a bit too much. It seems like their mom doesn't have really good taste. She seems to be a kind of more is more type of person. So it makes sense that all of the sisters, all of the daughters, her daughters, look like this. I also found it interesting that Marina, when she was shown in the beginning, when she wasn't really taken into the family and she was kind of antagonistic to them, I guess they were antagonistic to her. She was dressed in white, and then when she was taken into the family because she was close to marrying Colin, and it was very beneficial for the family, so of course they immediately accepted her. She started to wear yellow sometimes. She used to wear a lot more pink before she decided to really marry Colin, lie to him about the baby and whatever. And then she kind of started to wear a bit more yellow when she became more like the Featheringtons, especially the mother of the family. I do like the dynamic in the Bridgerton house, in their household. I like their family. I think that they are quite a good family to each other. You can definitely see that they care about each other. I think that the actors did a really great job at making this atmosphere. I've talked enough about season 1. Let's talk about season 2, the season that I actually liked, okay? Because season 1 wasn't my favorite. The main leads, the two leads, Ms. Sharma, Mr. Bridgerton, these two actors, they have chemistry. They do work. This is more of a slow burn to compare to the first season. There are a lot less sex scenes, which there were some people who were upset about that I guess the journalists were talking about that as if some people are upset about it. I haven't seen anyone being upset about it on Twitter or something. Let me know if you were upset about not enough steamy scenes being added. I was quite happy about them not being added as much because I don't find explicit scenes to the point of how explicit and how long they were in the first season. They were really, really long. It was just boring at that point. I don't find them interesting. I don't find those scenes add anything. I feel like that part is quite simplistic. Yeah, I don't have to see it. I know what's gonna happen. You don't have to show it to me every time. Do you know what I mean? In any case, with the second season, these two are so similar in so many ways, and they also have a more consistent character to themselves, which is really nice because it becomes exciting to see them interact because you kind of know where they're coming from. You know where Anthony's coming from. You see how he became the head of the house. You know that Kate is the head of her house. You can see that both of them are used to a certain role. They're used to taking care of things, and it's interesting to see them develop attachment. It's interesting to see them talk. They actually have really good rapport. In the beginning of season 1, they tried to do that with Simon and Daphne. They tried to do this whole thing of her talking back to him or whatever because he was rude to her when they first met, whatever. And it just didn't work. It didn't give that whole enemies to lovers but shortened version as they kind of wanted to do. They tried to do what they did successfully in season 2, okay? They tried to do it in season 1, and they just did not succeed. It just didn't work. Nothing about it worked. And then in season 2, all of a sudden, they actually hit a jackpot with this combination of characters. It is extremely frustrating to watch Anthony be so stupid. I mean, you kind of understand where he's coming from. His problem with falling in love or with marrying or whatever is worthy of sympathy. You know, seeing his mother being so miserable made him wary of falling in love because he doesn't want to fall apart that's the same way or whatever, or make someone else feel as horrible as his mother felt when his father died. It makes a lot more sense. It's a bit more of a believable conflict, a bit more of a believable problem that he's trying to deal with. The fact that they are dealing with their issues themselves because of their relationship with their family, because they kind of reach that point with the families where their families are like, you have to take care of yourself, you can't just take care of us. You're gonna resent this. You're gonna resent that you have spent your whole life doing this for us, giving up your entire life for us. And the fact that this coincided made them really interesting because they weren't forcing each other to give this life with love involved a chance. They weren't forcing each other like how Daphne did to Simon. It happened organically because they both happened to be in those points in their lives where they had a conflict with their family that resolved in them becoming slightly different, so they could actually give each other a chance. So it's a little bit of a different story, and it works a lot better. You actually feel for them, you know? And also, yes, I like Kate a lot more than Daphne, okay? I like Kate as a person. She seems to be smart. She seems to be aware. She seems to be present. She seems to be a person who is not shallow or just an empty shell of a person that is obsessed with procreation. They're probably gonna have children. They're probably going to have many of them. But their whole existence is not rooted in that want and in that need. They actually have a personality. They actually have something to offer to each other and to their future children. At first I thought that Daphne was supposed to be like 16 or something like that, which would be gross that she was marrying and stuff like that, but it was the thing back in the day. So I thought, okay, maybe she's just really young and really stupid, but then turns out she was supposed to be 21. At this point, just a little bit more brain activity has to be happening for me to not like genuinely hate you. Don't get offended by any of this, okay? I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just I have a lot of strong opinions. When it comes to the wardrobe, I think that this season, there was a lot of similarities obviously with the first season, for example, where in the first episode or maybe second episode, Kate told Edwina to wear this other dress that's like so much cuter than the one that she was wearing at home, and it's literally the same dress. It's just like a few shades pinker. It's just like, it's ridiculous that they're trying to make us believe that those dresses are that much different. And also jewelry, I forgot to say that, but in the first season where the prince was giving the gift, like that jewelry, that necklace to Daphne, girl, I couldn't it's just, it looked so much like something I bought at like 15 at Forever 21 that I just couldn't keep myself from laughing. When it comes to second season, I completely forgot that we were already talking about that. The costuming and everything, yes, there are a lot of things that are very similar, but I think that with the main character, with Kate, they really hit a jackpot with colors that they chose for her. This girl looks absolutely gorgeous in jewel tones. It's insane. It should be illegal how good she looks in emerald green. It's nuts. The sisters, when you're watching this show, you're gonna notice that Edwina is oftentimes in pink or this peachy pink, really light colors, pastel colors, and her sister is in jewel tones. I think that they were trying to kind of portray that one of them is older. Obviously she is. I think that Edwina is probably like, I don't know, I feel like she's probably like 18 to 20 or something like that, and I'm pretty sure that Kate is supposed to be 26. Oh yeah, they say that in the show. I don't know why I'm so unsure about it. I think that that's why they kind of put one of them in really pastel-y colors and the other one in more saturated dark colors. She does wear light colors sometimes too. I think that she looks gorgeous in this, sometimes turquoise, sometimes emerald green color. Look at this. It just suits her so well, the undertone of her skin. There was a moment where she was wearing an orange dress at the end, and when they were in the ballroom, it still looks good on her, but it doesn't look as good as purple and this emerald green look on her, or turquoise look on her. That orange dress, it just doesn't leave much of an impression. It feels the same as like season 1, where everyone looks similar and no one stands out really, but then she stands out so much in those colors. It's crazy. Like in this purple, for example, this purple dress she's wearing in this image. Also, it takes you out of the show when someone is this pretty and no one notices it. No one's asking her to dance. No one is like literally head over heels for her. Seriously, the yearning in this season was good. It also made Anthony so much more likable. He wasn't likable in first season, and I don't think they knew what they were going to do with Anthony. First season, it seemed like he was too messy to believe that he was the head of the house, to be honest. And then in second season, you kind of saw that he actually, you know, it makes sense that he has this character, that he is who he is. It made a lot more sense. I think that they actually did a really good job with the character in the second season, but he was so unlikable in the first one. Kind of meh, you know, maybe not unlikable, but just did not have any impact whatsoever. Lady Danbury always has really interesting costumes. I think that the colors that they choose for her, they also make her stand out and they suit her very well. And also it's just, she always gets something interesting, and I just enjoy her in general. There's also this scene right before the wedding where the Sharma family are just like sitting together and they're participating in some cultural thing that I don't know about because I'm not Indian, but they are doing their thing, they're enjoying each other's company, and it's such a sweet family scene. It just works really well to show their dynamic and how happy they are together. I really enjoyed seeing that. Of course it sucks that there's deception involved, but I guess that it wasn't planned and it wasn't something that was done maliciously, so whatever. Basically all the characters in the second season are more likable. Their motivations are clearer, their dynamics are more interesting and fun to watch, even between characters that are in the main couple. Obviously everyone has, I feel like, better, more interesting characteristics to them. The brothers have gotten more fleshed out, they make a lot more sense as characters now. Eloise got some time, Penelope got some time. Penelope, of course, there are some things that she's done that are not great, but I guess it still makes sense. Basically season 2 was definitely a lot better. I would say watch season 2. Do not watch season 1. It doesn't actually influence anything about season 2. It doesn't really matter. And season 1 is a waste of time. Season 2 is worthy of maybe even rewatching it. It's that much better. Let me know what you think about this show. Let me know if you liked season 1 and if you liked Daphne. I don't know why you would, but you know, to each their own. To each their own. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.